like Mark McGrath. What
Wait,
band?
what is that? Not Sublime. No.
Every morning there's a halo hanging from the corner of my girlfriend's four-post bed.
Yeah.
Don't say over.
What band is that?
Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. He's like a TV host now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he hosts like some shows or something.
Oh.
I've seen, I think.
Huh. I don't know why that like made me think of Marianna. I think just like of a vibe of like, I'm waiting to that, you know?
She is very chill.
She is. I love her. Every time, and I told her this, every time I come into a room, I'm like, thank God. Because I feel
the same about you. It was sweet to watch.
That was sweet.
Gush on each other.
And it was funny that she was saying that she feels like she can't like be open with people or like talk about things with people, because I feel like I could tell her anything.
Yeah, and she was very open and sharing here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did it feel to, she a couple of times was saying like, referring to you and being like, you seem to have it all together and so confident. And so it was good for her to hear like you struggle with, you know, anxiety too. You know, how'd that feel to be put in that position with someone?
That was really cool. I was honored that she sees me like that. And also like I've had people say that to me before where they're like, you struggle?
Yeah.
You just seem like you're having a great time. But to hear, and I related so much with her throughout this whole episode. Yeah. So like that on top of it, which just made me feel very loved and very like respected. Aww. And I thought that was really nice. Yeah.
It was sweet to watch y'all talk back and forth like that. I was just sitting over there like smiling like, that's so sweet.
And we say it in the podcast, but she was like, oh, I really want to cultivate friendships. I don't think I have any deep ones. And I was just shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Like, I'll be your friend.
Oh, that's why I was like, what does friendship look like to you? Because in my head, I was like, I'll do it. Another part was like, easy, Amber. You know, you can't.
I feel like y'all would like balance each other out really well in a friendship.
Oh, in what way?
Well, she's just super calm and you have you could bring the energy, and I feel like y'all would like, I mean, obviously you have the ability to be chill too.
And she can be excited as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like y'all would be able to, I know with me and some of my friends, there's times it's like we have the ability for both, but it's kind of like we balance at different times. Like if one's real, you know, like if I'll sit back if there's a conversation between y'all go, you know? And so it's like, I feel like y'all would be able to balance each other out.
Oh,
like that.
That's so nice. Yeah. Ugh. And I'm so happy that you're my co-host, dude. Oh. I'm so blessed.
Thanks.
Like you really just like were such a giving, like I want to say angel today. You had such good insights, and I just when you share, I'm always attentive and like excited because I know I'm going to like learn something that helps me in my life. And I just love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is one of my favorite episodes. We got right into it. It was like, hi, what's up? And Marianna's like, this.
Well, I don't know if you want to talk about this.
Yeah.
We're like, yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It was a treat.
Yeah. So I do want to share a little bit. I don't know if trigger warning's the right phrase I like to use for this stuff, but we do, the episode does talk about suicide and some hard stuff. So just listen when it feels like a good headspace. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Enjoy the episode, y'all.
Enjoy.
That made me feel good.
Oh, I love you. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here.
You're a wonderful person to be around.
Thank you. You're a wonderful person to be around.
Every time I see you at a show, I'm like, thank God. Thank God.
I think when you see your name, I'm like, oh, good. I'll get to learn something.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's very nice. You're wonderful. Before we started filming, you said you're dipping your toe into self-care.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
So being in this space has like kind of shown me like where it can go, maybe like the self-care, if you take care of yourself and you have these like spaces and you protect where you live, you know? And so I'm just kind of getting into that now, like finally learning how to take care of like the child inside of me.
I love that.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm learning now that I wasn't taken care of as a kid necessarily. So I'm learning how to reparent myself.
Oh boy, yeah.
Are you in therapy? Because I hear you saying some therapy terms.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your inner child and self-care and just becoming aware of things. What's been the catalyst for you becoming aware?
Oh, well, just trying to have better relationships, get along better in the world, really. I mean, just try to connect with people on a deeper level, because I feel like, this is the weirdest thing that's occurred to me. Like, I'm turning 36 in 3 months, and I just realized, I'm like, I don't actually really know how to have friendships, like deep, meaningful connections, friendships, and it's just like a skill I don't have.
Oh, wow.
So it's something I'm working on, and I don't know. What was your question?
Well, I think it started with, are you in therapy? That's what's kind of projected this, like kind of gotten this rolling for you.
Yeah.
Would you say that's the main source of like how you say I'm practicing and dipping my toe in? Is that how you're going about it, or what all does that include?
Well, I kind of had to sort of be thrown into therapy about 10 years ago, sort of got thrown in the deep end of it. So I'm kind of trying to
Oh, no.
come back out of. I'm trying to get to a place where it like integrates into my life a little bit better, and that I can actually use it, because I don't know if you want to talk about how I got into therapy.
Sure.
When and apologies for how deep it gets, but I tried to kill myself when I was 25, and I'm 35 now. So just celebrated the 10-year anniversary.
Oh, yay. Yeah. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. And I got, luckily at the time I was in New York State, so I got in this really good outpatient program where I had group therapy and individual therapy, and I was doing cognitive behavioral therapy. And, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't had all of that,
Yeah. Wow.
Can I ask if you want to talk about the moment where you wanted to end everything?
Yeah.
Things get really tough when that feels like that's your best option.
Yeah.
If you want to share about that.
Yeah. I do like talking about it, actually, because I feel like there's a lot of people who get to that point.
Yeah.
And they just, they felt like I did. And now sure, I've had like times since then that I've had the same feeling. But now I experience it differently. But that time it was so low. The thing is that it wasn't, the actual event was so small that kicked it off. But it like was this dam that broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rough time. I keep forgetting what I'm talking about.
That's okay. Yeah, just talking about that moment, that like what brought you to such a like heavy place.
Yeah, I think I just wasn't necessarily communicating. Like, my family is very dysfunctional, and it was about Christmas time. It was like a rough time of the year for everybody.
Yeah.
And I just felt so alone. I was on a work trip in Wisconsin. I was in the middle of nowhere by myself with a stylist. I was doing still life styling at the time, and the stylist did not like me. I wasn't very good at my job, so I don't think I would have liked me either. But I was trying really hard, and we were just shooting for Country Living in the middle of nowhere. And I had all these sleeping pills, and I was just like, maybe I don't need to wake up tomorrow. And then I did wake up the next day.
Wow.
And then I had to go to work all day for 20 hours. So
you went to work after that?
Well, I was in Wisconsin for work, so I couldn't.
So what are you going to do in Wisconsin? Yeah. Wow.
Well, I didn't know what else to do. It's not like I could have told the stylist, what happened. She was not very receptive. So, yeah.
What did you feel like when you woke up that morning?
Failure. But also at the same time, I felt happy. I was really happy that it didn't work. I was really like, there was a part of me that wanted it to happen, but there was a much bigger part of me that wanted it not to happen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. Do we always get into the heavy stuff real quick?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I kind of do things. It may take a minute sometimes on this podcast, but yeah, I'm here for it. It's very normalized for me to have these kind of conversations, so don't feel like you're oversharing or anything like that. And I think our listeners, they come to hear some of these things, and I'm sure a lot of people resonate with that experience that you've had.
Yeah.
It seems like a gift to wake up and realize you didn't really want that to happen, and that it actually didn't happen.
It was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wish it was like I opened a door and then I was just a new person, you know, but then there is just all of this other work you have to do.
Yeah, that normally doesn't happen that way. It's the first step in a direction, hopefully, when that happens.
Yeah.
You said when we first started talking, I don't know if you said you recently became aware of, or you've just been learning that you just didn't get your needs met as a child. Mm-hmm. And that may be putting it lightly.
Well, my mom tried to kill me.
Oh.
Okay, so definitely that was putting it lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It only occurred to me 2 years ago. My brother mentioned it. And I was like, oh, yeah, she did.
Wow. She
would, I have a joke about it. And people have told me a bunch of times they don't believe me when I'm doing the joke. It's helped me process it a little bit just because it's kind of crazy. I mean, she would put us in the car and she'd get mad at us. Mm-hmm. She'd drive the car, 120 miles an hour. And she'd call my dad and she'd be like, I'm going to kill the kids. Like, we're all going to heaven without you. These are direct quotes. And then, just if you can imagine what that person is like on a day-to-day basis when you're trying to just learn something or get something wrong so that you learn later, it's not a great place to grow up necessarily.
Yeah.
It wasn't safe to learn. And this is why I'm always apologizing and getting places early and trying to make sure that I stay out of the way of everybody else's feelings. And, but I'm finally coming into a place where I feel like I can take up my space. So
I love that.
Was your dad in the home with you all?
That's the other thing. He technically lived there. He would work from, I think, noon until midnight. He was never home for dinner. And then the thing is that my dad was a doctor, so a lot of people would think oh, well, your dad's a doctor. You're a rich kid. What could be wrong? So nobody ever thought something could be wrong, not the neighbors, not my friends' parents. Although now I look back and I kind of think, I think they might have known.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that feel like when a lot of times working with clients, when we kind of we're like, how could they not have? Or maybe we know an adult saw and then didn't do anything. That the messaging you get from that of either I can't be helped, it contributes to being silent. I don't know. How did you experience that?
I don't know that I necessarily processed it. This is the other thing that I'm working on in therapy is I don't know how to process emotions. I'll look it up on WikiHow. I'm not kidding. I looked it up the other day. Or how do I, even see in my own behavior, where the problems are to start to fix them. It's just, I don't know how I would react if I knew something was happening to my niece, because I only know how to put myself in the place of oh,
the other person.
Yeah. So I know that my aunts, I've been in some group text messages with my aunts and my mom, and I've seen my mom be mean to my aunts in the way that she was mean to us growing up. And I wonder if they were just trying to kind of gloss over it all, because they had a rough childhood too. But this is where I always go into trying to make up for my parents' shortcomings.
Well, it sounds like you grew up in a home. It sounds like your mom was very overly expressive and emotional, where it didn't leave much room for you.
Yeah, no. not a lot of room.
Well, and when you think about if your mother's in particular, that's a really important relationship that impacts how you navigate life. But then when you see your parents, just those around you in your home, that's your first example of like how to be human and feel things. And if your first experience, like if we have a mom that gets very reactive, whenever we try to have feelings, we learn very subtly not to have them. And then we become very codependent, like trying to take care of. When I can manage her, I can feel okay. And that gets wired as how you are safe. And that's how you are safe in relationships. So you end up in a lot of relationships where that's your pattern. Yeah. Where you're just trying to manage and make everybody else around you okay.
Oh, yeah. I did that a lot. Yeah. I had a lot of boyfriends where I was their mom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, one of them owes me some money, too, so he's watching.
That's hilarious. Is somewhere in there why you feel like you've never had a deep friendship?
I think so. I mean, I think about this a lot. I honestly feel like an alien a lot of the time because I have so much of my memories just gone. Like I have little blips of childhood and they're all horrible. It's not like there was happy moments that like made up for the scary ones. It's like it all got washed away. I actually was thinking about it a few days ago. And I used to do this joke about how Cate Blanchett was raising me as her organ clone so that she could take my...
You do look like her. Now you just said that. I was like, oh my God.
You really do.
Sorry, I didn't even interrupt that.
No, that's okay. Thank you. That joke works usually. So
I can see why.
I've got to stop doing it though, because look like jokes are,
no.
cliche.
Keep doing it.
If it's funny, it's funny. And I'm going to stand on that.
Yeah. She said it. But
and that came from like that feeling of feeling like an alien.
Well, that's the thing is I was like, I almost feel like in those movies where they're like, the clone finds out that they're a clone and then they're like, oh my God, I was brought here for just my organs. Yeah. You don't even want to talk to me,
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, wow, I resonate a lot with these android characters. So I don't know, but yeah,
something that came up when you were like, when we don't, it's common if we have a lot of childhood trauma, we don't remember because they didn't get washed away, they got stored really deep in your body.
That's why me and my therapist are working on EMDR. I think that's why. Because she's kind of noticed this about me because I'm like, girl, I'm thinking and thinking. And I just I wish I had diaries from back then. I have diaries from my 20s that are actually really scary to watch.
Darcy is a therapy dog. She likes to just be present when you're going through it,
I was about to say, Darcy really wants to
she's doing she's circus animal right now.
She's like, this girl needs a hug. Okay.
That's her job.
Yes. She's like, you can pet me while you talk about it.
Do you ever need a dog sitter? I'm happy to just be here.
So you and your therapist are doing EMDR on that, childhood stuff that got pushed down.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out.
How's that going?
We've only done a couple of sessions, and honestly, my last session of therapy was this past Thursday, and I cried the entire hour. So we did not have any space for the EMDR. Just really going through it.
Well, you said I have no idea how to feel my feelings. What in your mind? Because this is probably something a lot of people experience and don't quite understand what it is, or we have a certain idea. Yeah. Like even therapists, sometimes I work with like interns and training therapists, and they'll think if their client's not crying, they're not processing or feeling their emotions, and that's not true. Yeah. But for you, what's your idea right now with what feeling emotions, even if you don't feel like you do it, what do you imagine it would be?
I just feel like when people feel their emotions, they get up in the morning and they just feel bad. and then they just stay there. And they don't smoke weed and drink coffee and have, a sugary something and a this and a that. And they don't like give themselves all of these things to like get in the way of processing. Whereas like I get up in the morning and I'm like, let's not think, That's a big way I've been avoiding my feelings for the past like 10 years-ish. Smoking a lot of weed. I don't think a lot of people talk about that for like pushing your emotions down, it helps.
Yes.
Helps really get them down.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. But when you're crying in therapy, would you consider that feeling your emotions?
Yes. Yeah. This was kind of overtook me by surprise because I had a small surgery last week, or I guess the week before last, and then they put me to sleep. But it wasn't an overly painful surgery, and it was just a little one. But I read online that anesthesia like takes away all of your serotonin. And so like last week, I was serious. I think I asked 100 people, like, do you hate me? And it was just this point where everyone was like, why are you asking?
Oh, babe. Yeah.
But it also didn't feel like me. I don't know. Again, what was the question?
So this is a trauma response that you keep forgetting.
I know.
It's okay, though.
Yeah.
I just want to normalize it for you. That's very, very common.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah. It's your brain trying to do its job.
Yeah.
And to protect difficult things when they come up, we can kind of, it's dissociating a little bit. It's a version of that.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, this little internal protector part's like, no, and we're going to distract you.
Yeah.
So it's pretty normal.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't feel bad about that.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah. You've got two people to kind of help you check back in. I do it too. Especially getting off ADHD medicine.
That was a big one for me. That was honestly, getting off any medicine. I was on mood stabilizers. That was part of like the therapy. When they first put me in therapy, they put me on mood stabilizers. So I was on them for like 6 years. And then when I moved to Nashville, I had to switch doctors, and it was just very overwhelming to figure out how to get back to the mood stabilizers. And they were like, well, one day you shouldn't need them. So then
Melody's face.
This is where you get this like free state offered therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were like, nobody told me, you need to stair step down.
So you got off of them all at once?
I did. Oh, wow.
Did you lose your shit?
Internally, yes, not on anybody. I'm actually pretty proud of myself that I don't generally let go on anybody else. But internally, yeah, just keep it, keep the explosions inside. But I remember for that 2 years, like I couldn't listen to music.
Wow.
Because I would get like so emotional just listening to anything. So like I'm not even a Taylor Swift fan.
Damn.
Like, so she's just so like poetic and emotional. I'm like, girl, I'll get there.
No, I don't know if everybody goes through a phase. I've been through a phase where I couldn't listen to music because I was just like, I got enough emotion brewing in here. I don't need that.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
so I just needed to take a break for a little bit because music is beautiful too and has the ability. That's one thing. Music is so healing a lot of times because it has the ability to storytell things that we can't put into words for ourselves and create emotions in us. So it makes sense. We have to, just like anything else, you're kind of a tool to help manage. And it might be not listening to music.
It's been magical getting back into music, though.
Yeah.
It's been really nice.
Will you say something about that?
Just the music's magic. I don't know. I recently got into sound baths, too.
Ooh.
I didn't know that was technically music. That stuff's nice. I want to get a bowl. I don't have one, but I listen to them on YouTube. So
I keep getting recommended to go to a sound bath.
Yeah.
We should go together sometime.
We should. I would love
Melanie knows somebody.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
She does them once a month at our office, a group sound bath. But then she does individual sessions of sound therapy, which is beautiful. That's what I do for therapy now.
Oh, that's so nice.
I just go and work on stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It feels psychedelic to me doing sound therapy.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have stuff come up and process. But yeah,
That's what I like about it. I mean, I like to disassociate from my feelings. So I like to disassociate when I'm happy too.
Can I ask, I'm curious about this because, and I know perception is, you know, it is what it is, perception, but I just see you as such a like warm, bubbly, like it surprises me when you say that you've never had a deep friendship, because to me, you like are a friendship. You know what I'm saying? So like that just, and I know, I wonder what that looks like for you. Like when you say you haven't had it, like what would it look like to have a deep friendship?
Yeah.
And then like, I know that you're married, and like, what has that relationship brought in that sense? You know, like, because I'm sure you guys consider yourself friends.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's so funny. Well, I guess I exclude my husband from that. I don't know why. But we do have a really good friendship, actually. I mean, God, it's so funny because we've known each other. Me and him have known each other since we were children, technically.
Oh, wow.
It's weird. It's a weird story because we moved in together after our first date.
What?
Yeah. And this was after like a lot of really bad relationships where I was not demonstrating like good decision-making skills. But yeah, that's so interesting. I don't know why I don't consider him necessarily a friend. For me, he's something else, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
It's like, he's almost like a different part of my brain in a way. But we have something really deep. It's, I don't know how to explain it necessarily, but it's not explained very well in like TV and books and movies. I feel like they do a poor job at explaining like the multitudes that you can have with just on an individual basis. But this is why I kind of feel like I don't have deeper friendships, because I'm always like policing myself like, oh, I don't want to say that. Then they'll think I'm crazy. Oh, I don't want to do that. Then they'll see I'm bad at bowling or whatever it is. You know, it could be anything, like the smallest things. Like I'll usually just take myself out of the equation but then I show up to shows and I show up to mics and I show up in the world necessarily like as a nice person. I don't want anybody, goes back to my mom making me feel crazy all the time. It's like, I never want to make anybody feel crazy or left out. I hate that. That's the thing about with comedy is like sometimes you just get in those groups and then you just like, it ends up being exclusionary and you're like, oh, that's not what I meant. It's not what I meant.
Yeah, you know? Definitely.
So you keep yourself from having friendships so that they won't reject you.
Yes. Yeah. I think that might be more what I meant to say.
Well, yeah. That's kind of how my brain works, is just making sense of how you express things. And it seems like if that's how, I mean, again, your mom's how you learn to navigate relationships. It's the first person you have a relationship with. So when you look at that, does some of it make sense on how you are in a relationship now?
Yeah. I mean, the person that was supposed to take care of me, you know, like tried to murder me. That didn't stop when we were kids either. That went through our 20s, you know. It was like I tried to pay for my first apartment. She tried to claw my eyes out in the middle of the night. It was wild. So it's kind of, this is why I think it's haunting me into adulthood as opposed to like being able to process it. Because I'm like, I was still 21 when the last time it happened. So I guess it's just part of me is like, well, something about me is broken. So I just try to not like, I don't like getting to that point in relationships where somebody leaves or somebody decides like, oh, well, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Because like with childhood, I was thinking about this like earlier today. And like, I keep in touch with just a few people that I grew up with. But I always felt like when I was a kid, like people would invite you over because they had to, you know, because their mom was like, oh, well, we have to invite all the girls in your class over. And I always felt that. I always felt like I was invited just because they had to invite me. And so now I never want to be in the place of being like, oh, well, you had to invite me. So sorry. That's another thing. And I didn't mean to say sorry. working on that. But I sigh a lot in therapy. And my therapist is always like, what's that about? What was that?
So what was
What
that?
is it?
I think I'm trying to expel.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I don't know how to say stuff. So then I'm like, maybe that noise will just say it for me.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful, actually. There's so many ways to express yourself. Words are just one of them.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it that way. I used to paint, so I need to get back into painting. I forgot about that. My paintings are so depressing looking.
That's okay.
I bet they would change over time as you keep, if all that stuff's in there, like art and expressive stuff, whatever, finding ways for it to come out.
Yeah. Well, that's what comedy's been for me a lot. You know, that's something that since I've had comedy to at least like work on, I haven't had as many of these like inner battles necessarily. Because I feel like I'm at least just like, oh, whoops.
It's okay. We do it too.
I'm very like handsy. So I feel like I'm going to knock over everything by the time this is
Do it.
But yeah, I feel like since I've done, right before I started comedy, I was really, really depressed. And it was the second like time in my life where I had just like was very much at the very bottom.
Yeah.
But because I'd gone through so much therapy, I knew I was like, well, that's not my option. And then I'd always loved comedy. I just was always kind of like, well, I can't do that because like that's what everybody I love does. And then I'll ruin it for myself, just like being in it. And I started it and I was just like, it's just fun. I don't know.
No, you do know. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
And it takes like, I mean, I when you were talking about the, now I forgot her name that you look like.
Oh, Cate Blanchett.
Cate Blanchett. You have such a like unique, that's such a cool take, an interesting take like on something that's like hard, you know? It's like processing instead of just being like saying exactly what happened. It's like a really creative way to like, I don't know, you're very creative and smart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you ever, I know you said before you get anxiety. Does comedy help that or?
Yeah, actually, that's something that's an interesting, I feel like I have a different response to comedy than a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I'm like, that's amazing.
I feel like, I mean, sure, if I have a bad set, like I'll think about it. Who doesn't? You know, I'm not a crazy person. I'm not just sitting here like, I'm awesome all the time. But, you know, even when I come off stage and have a mediocre set or I have like I love open mics. This is why I love open mics. I love when the stakes are zero. There's nothing I can lose. I feel like I can float on that feeling of just like that flow state. I've heard that's part of, I don't know what it is in, but it's that old talk by Mikhail, something about flow.
Is that a direct quote?
It's a name, actually. It's very hard to pronounce. So
You nailed it.
it's Russian. So. Yeah.
You get in that after a mic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the thing. That's why I that's the thing. I like the process of comedy, which I feel like is where people kind of get the breakdown of like not liking comedy anymore. It's like they don't like the process of building it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it is hard, but it's not worth it.
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Do y'all feel like comedy is a form of like self-expression? I know the obvious answer is yes, but a more detailed answer around how is it like, or first, because I've just heard different comedians talk a little bit how sometimes they use it and they just get to put this other self forward versus some really is like it's in a process and it's a way that, you know, like Jimmy, he uses it as a way to process versus we've talked to some where it's an outlet for fun or, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, like how you guys see that as it's an artistic form of expression, but it seems like in comedy, there's so many different ways you can go about trying to deliver it. And there's such a choice on how much of yourself you put into it. Because we just talked to somebody who said they don't include themselves at all. And they wanted to start doing that more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can y'all speak to that?
That is so interesting. I don't know. Do you want to go first? I
Mm.
feel like I've been talking a lot.
You're the guest. Everyone says that. And we're like, bro,
The more you talk,
that's
the
why
better.
you're here.
Like, you should be talking the most. I mean, there's no should, but the more you talk, the better.
Yeah, we welcome that. On that note, I feel, and I was telling someone before, I feel like most comedy podcasts, I mean, this is a mixture. It's not just comedy, but like you'll go on and mainly dudes will be like, yo, wah, 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 and you never get to talk. So I get being like, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but you should be. Yeah,
like
you're
It feels like a lot. Okay. There was a pie chart of who's been talking about us.
should be the host, and then the guest should just, feel like, why did I come?
I should just have a xylophone.
Ooh, I like that's kind of like a sound bowl.
That was.
Yeah.
That was nice.
My watch.
You would make a sound bowl.
That's what it sounds like when she farts.
I was about to say
I was going to say queef, though.
I like queef.
I love the word queef so much.
It's a beautiful name for a girl.
It is.
It really
It's
is.
just lovely.
I think I want to like sit on your question a little more, but I feel like something that initially comes up is I talk a lot about like my life and things that like personal stuff, and I feel power and fun when I get to like take those experiences and deliver them in a way that like makes people like laugh and double over. Like I'm just like I don't know, I feel like power has a negative connotation.
No.
But it keeps coming up, like
all.
a power, like in a gift of being like,
I think you're looking for empowered. Because I think you're thinking like power means like control versus empowered. You just feel power.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel empowered. And like today I was thinking of a joke that was a observation of how someone in my family did something. And I decided, I was like, maybe I don't say that, but it was cool to be like, whoa, it's really interesting that I like witnessed I was able to witness like their reaction, like a human reaction to something, and then like immediately put it into like a funny thing. But I don't think they think it was very funny. So I was like, maybe I don't say that. But I think just bringing a lightness to life is something that I get really excited about, but also stressed about, because I'm like, I don't know. I put a lot of stress on myself. Your turn.
I was about to say, you do not project any of the stress. If I were to guess like what you do before shows, it's just like you just look in the mirror and you go, "I'm awesome," and you freaking head out the door.
That.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like that's how it goes.
Oh, that's so kind.
It makes me feel good that you still like have the same range. That there's a range of emotion to it.
There is, yeah.
Because I've seen you like change people's lives on stage.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No, I'm not. I'm very honest, very, very forthcoming. But yeah, I've seen people like you've changed like people's entire moods and like outlooks in like I don't know, in a 5 to 10 minute set sometimes. I mean, I've seen you, and then you go into the 3rd-minute sets, and then you're just like changing people's names and stuff.
Thank you.
It's really fun to watch. Thank you.
Oh,
That might sound cheesy.
it doesn't. No, it's beautiful.
No,
I think that's
I agree.
like, we should always share those things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's like what life is about.
I'm glad that you can receive that. That's nice. I never knew
Yeah.
that was like part of I had this business partner when I was in my 20s because I was a fashion designer, and my business partner was always like talking about her best friend, and she was like, she can give gifts and she can receive gifts. And I was like, that's a skill I didn't
Yes.
even know about. And I've realized throughout my life, like, oh yeah, a lot of people aren't necessarily good at receiving gifts and compliments and things, and it's beautiful.
That's so true. Yeah, especially in the comedy world.
Yeah. Oh man.
You'll be like, great set. And they're like, kill myself. And
I
I'm
know.
like, okay, wow.
I know. Well, then I try to like hone it in. I'm like, you had a set that made me want to go home and write. So that's how I try to say it now.
Oh, nice.
Because I'm like, I understand when you come off stage and you do meh, it's kind of like, now then I got this asshole coming up to me, just being like,
trying to make me feel better. Yeah.
But
can you receive?
I have been learning to.
Okay.
I'm learning to. And I think I do so much work on myself and trying to get to a place where I can. I do receive compliments, and then sometimes I like take it too far, and I'm like, well, I'm a narcissist now.
Narcissists don't wonder if they're a narcissist.
See, I read so many infograms on Instagram, and these lists make me feel very different.
I don't think a narcissist would be like, reading infograms about narcissism.
I know.
You know?
I know that there's infograms that say that too. I'm like, nah, this one wrong.
Just scroll past that one.
Yeah, I'm like, well, yes, these holistic psychologists on Instagram, not all of them got it.
What would your response be to Melanie's question, you think?
For me, I actually very recently had a breakthrough in therapy where I don't know what happened when I went to college, but you know how like most people go to college and they like lose their minds.
Yeah.
And they like have fun. And I like kind of did it in a different way where it was because it was the first time I was around not people that I grew up with. And I could actually pick my friends, or not pick them, but like I could attract my friends, and I could like have the people around me that I wanted around me, and I had that energy, you know. And I was like, oh, I have this cocoon of people that like me. This is nothing I was used to. And then I kind of started doing these impressions and like these like weird things during class, and like I got called, you know, the Muppets, the mean old men Muppets. Statler and Waldorf. I got called that a lot in class because I would heckle my teachers.
Oh, I love that.
But they liked it. I don't know. It worked. I was a straight A student. And, but basically I had this, not a character, not like a split part of my personality, but it was Barky. They all called me Barky because my last name's Barksdale. And that's where that came from. But I just think it was the first time in my life I was ever just like not thinking about what people, not caring about if people liked me or not. I felt supported.
Yeah.
And so like recently I've had some breakthroughs on stage where like Barky came out, and I mean, at an open mic a few weeks ago, I got like a standing ovation and I high-fived everybody in the crowd. Like, it was amazing.
That's awesome.
But the fun part about it was I was bombing like bad. And then I just like snapped in the middle. Whoa. And then Barky came out and I was like, wow, I think that's who I am. I think that's who my personality, I think that's who I actually am if I were to like process all of my emotions.
Wow. What can you say more to like what happened when, like what the difference was when Barky came out?
I think I just had it, honestly. I've gotten to this place where, because you know, there's like a lot of crazy people in comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
But like, there's good crazy and there's bad crazy.
Right.
And I think the bad crazy, like I love a good crazy, okay? I love people that are just like full steam ahead, who cares, whatever. Like,
yeah.
You know, there's a lot of good crazy in the world. But like I've just had a lot of experiences recently with like the bad crazies, and it was just getting to me, and I just kind of like, I just snapped, and it was like I was talking to, you know, my cats, honestly. Like it was just like I was at my home just talking.
Wow.
And it felt really good because like that's not like a natural thing for me. You know, I know some people can go on stage and they just talk and it's so funny. And I'm just like, I think I have to get to this state where I'm like fed up, you know, or I don't know. That was the first instance
Fed
of
up
it.
how?
Just fed up with pretending to like be okay with this whole like charade that people are putting on. Because there's a lot of people who pretend not to be crazy. Those are the ones I don't like.
I love it. Well, it sounds like you get a very present moment when you kind of shed caring.
Yeah.
And that's where flow is when you're just no agenda, but just being in it.
Yeah. Like that set, it was a 4-minute set. And I swear it could have been an hour and a half. Like I was in another universe.
Wow. Those are the best moments.
It was.
When you really feel like your gift or your soul is just like, I call it like, you know, you're like, you're just like blasting off.
It's like the Care Bears.
Oh, I love the Care Bears.
Thought you were Care Bearing.
Oh, yes. I love the Care Bears. The baby son was not it, though.
Yeah, no.
When it was like, I didn't like that.
It's just that's the bad crazy.
Yin and yang. Yin and yang. Have you accessed Barky outside of that mic in another?
I've been trying to get back to her every time I have a show. And I finally got into this place in like, especially for local shows where like, I just kind of like throw all my whole set list out and I'm like, let's just work on all my new stuff.
Amazing.
In this like, and I feel like if I come at it in my new, not in my new place, but like from Barky's perspective, like it just comes out funnier. It comes out more of like what I meant necessarily. Whereas like sometimes I would go up there and it was almost like it was like a play. You know?
Yeah.
You're just like reading a script.
Yeah.
It's like, this play's not funny.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Are you familiar with when I say energy, like noticing the energy of something? Does that feel resonate?
Yeah.
Could you describe the energy of Barky?
Barky's a rainbow. Okay.
Oh.
Barky's a big, shiny, sparkly rainbow. And she just wants, I don't know what she wants. She's just great. She's like an energy ball. Somebody told me my aura was a rainbow a long time ago. And they also asked me if I was special needs. So it was like a complicated
Conversation.
It was like complicated. It was in high school. But that's like always kind of how I feel like my natural state is. It's just like all the colors. Because my therapist gave me this vibrational chart once and it was like the highest vibrational colors or like the play. It was like God-like at the top, and at the bottom it's just like, jealousy and all these bad things. And I've sent it to a few comedians too, just because I'm like, here, you want to resonate at the top. You don't want to resonate at the bottom.
Oh, I love that's so kind of you to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, anytime somebody reaches out to me, I'm like almost too helpful to the point where I'm like, oh no, this is where boundaries come in.
You're like, I'm coming over.
I know, I'm like, I've got books. I've got a chart. But yeah, I just think the thing about Barky is that like she just doesn't. It's not that she doesn't care in a bad way. She doesn't care in a good way.
I hear confident.
Yeah. That's not something I'm naturally like bringing to the table.
Well, you grew up. It seems like you grew up in an environment that constantly was putting that down.
Yeah.
That was taking that confidence away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did pageants when I was a kid too, so that does not do a lot of good things for your brain.
Confidence. Yeah.
It's not good to be judged on how pretty you are when you're in 3rd grade. I don't care what my mom says. But yeah, I mean, but then you're judged on your personality, how pretty you are, how talented you are, and then when you get into high school pageants, they judge you on your grades too. And it's just like, wow, this is a microscope that nobody really needs, But, I've seen a lot of arguments from pageant moms saying like, oh, well, it builds your confidence and then you're able to talk to people. And I'm like, that's interesting because I haven't seen that actually like
play out.
Building their confidence in how good they can be at that.
Yeah. I just think
the charade.
Yeah, it seems like a charade.
Well, what happens if you're not deemed the prettiest or the smartest or the most talented? Then where's the confidence?
Yeah.
So your confidence comes in if you are the best. It's a competition of all of it.
Yeah.
So.
Can you like the first time you did an open mic? What was that like?
Oh my God. Well, the first time I was ever on stage, do you want to talk about the first time I was ever on stage or the first time I ever did an open mic? Because
I really want to know about the time where you were like, I want to do this for a long time.
Okay. All right. That's a lot later than the first time I was on stage. Well, because like the first time I was on stage, I did a class at the Comedy Cellar in New York.
Amazing.
When I lived in New York. It was great. It was amazing. But I did the set and then I came off stage and the manager of the Comedy Cellar came up to me and he was like, "Don't quit. You're great. Don't let anyone tell you to change."
Oh.
I quit immediately.
Okay.
I quit.
Cool.
Because I was dating a guy at the time that made me feel unsafe. And I felt like if I posted shows I was on, he would come and kill me. So I took a long break from stand-up. And then it was after that second, like, really depressed state when I was, I think, 33. It was a couple of years ago. I've been doing stand-up now. I say I've been doing stand-up for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Because it's been 2.5 years since I went to the East Room. I got my COVID shot. I went to the East Room. I was just doing terrible. But it was just like, there was no going back after that.
You felt after you went to the East Room, what came across what was the feeling that made you be like, I want to do this again?
I don't even know. It's just something about like, this doesn't exist other places. There's nowhere else to get this feeling for me. Mm-hmm. This didn't come across when I would do well at work. This didn't come across when I'd read a good book. Mm-hmm. I didn't have access to this feeling. I'd never had like this puzzle piece. It felt like I'd been like trying to finish this puzzle forever. And then like I started stand up and I was like, oh, that was it.
That's wonderful.
Interesting. Maybe if I just kept going 7 years ago, Yeah. But, stand-up's really scary at the beginning. I don't know if it was for you, but I mean, I feel like for most people, for me, it was so scary at the beginning, just going on stage, just like not tripping up the stairs.
Yeah.
If the first time doing comedy, is that what you're saying? Like, yeah. You're like, are people going to think I'm funny? Mm-hmm. I would imagine. I don't know. It does seem scary. Were you?
Do you still get, I definitely was like scared. I think my issue in the beginning was the aftermath. After every single show, I'd be like writhing. I'm like, oh, I fucked up everything. And I'm just like rolling on the floor. And then, I would go to the next mic and have some fun on stage and then do that again. Yeah. I'd writhe a little more. And I did that for like a couple of years and was like, I can't writhe anymore. This isn't fun, actually.
Why do you think you kept going back to it, though, if the aftermath was miserable? Was it like if you kept just writhing after it every time, you're like, that's fun, I want to do it again?
Because I love it. And I really think it's like what I'm supposed to be doing is making people laugh, and it's a gift of mine. Mm-hmm. And I've gotten so much, I don't writhe anymore, but there are, like just tonight, I had an anxiety thing about going to an open mic, and I had to remind myself that so many things, nothing's that serious. Mm-hmm. I am right where I'm supposed to be. Like it was just I was actually enjoying it, but it was all this other stuff that I was putting on top of it that was making it terrible afterwards.
Gotcha.
I was enjoying the actual thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then you let your brain come in and ruin it.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it makes me feel good that you also have those feelings too, because then I'm like, oh, well, I'm not out of the ordinary. I'm not just like, because sometimes I take those feelings of the negativity and I think like, well, this is a reason that you should stop, And then, but then when you hear other people have them, especially when they're as good as you, I'm just like, oh, well, thank God. Okay.
Dude.
At least we're all in this together.
Yes, relatable. And I feel like comics don't talk about that a lot, just all the pressure that you can put on yourself with this, because like at the core, you're good at something, you enjoy it, and that's all good is going to come from you from that. Yeah. But then also you have like, I got to write new jokes and I got to be perfect and I got to get my social media. And it's like,
Yeah.
I think everybody has versions of that. I know.
Every job.
Yeah. Like as you're talking, I'm thinking there's therapists I see therapists that go get trained in so many things. And I can see, I'm like, they don't have confidence that they are a good therapist. So they just keep doing these trainings. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a lot of trainings, you're don't have confidence, but I see it, where it's just, you can be a good therapist by just sitting and being present with someone. You don't need all these trainings and skills. Those are helpful, but if you're not confident, it's just a tool. You won't be able to use it that well. And so it's just, with the comedy, that's what was coming up as you were kind of talking about, like, you can really be in the flow and enjoy it, and then let all the other things just kind of come in and mess with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see therapists nervous that and we all still like, well, that session didn't go very well. I don't know if I really helped him much. And 9 times out of 10, the client will comment in later sessions how helpful the session was.
Dude, that's so relatable.
Yeah,
it's like shows where you're like, that was shit, and they're like, I had so much fun. You're like,
yeah. I know.
And thank you for saying that too, because sometimes my brain will be like, what if I was just a nurse? And then the other half is like, if you were a nurse, you'd be doing the same shit. If you really wanted to be a nurse, you'd be like, oh, how can I be a better nurse? Just like, yeah.
I would say if you have a feeling or experience or a process, there's been other people that have felt the same way, had the same thoughts. If you ever question that, like, so
simple, but also mind blowing. Yes,
I don't have a head anymore.
Well, I think I've said this on here before, but imagine all the thoughts you've had in your head. Like, most people have not heard all of them. You're the only one that knows you like that.
Yeah.
But think all the things that don't get said out loud.
That's so true.
That's why I think we need to talk more out loud
around
what our experiences are, because even when some people start talking about diagnosis stuff, and I'm not big into diagnosing, but I'm like, there's a name for it because there's enough people that have experienced it,
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah.
That's why we even have like language to describe all of these things. Oh, yeah.
I'm same, girl. I'm like, what?
This is the thing. Like, for my childhood experiences, like, I just read that book by Jeanette McCurdy. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called I'm Glad My Mom Died.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I have seen it.
It was cathartic. And I've never felt happier that somebody did something so painful to write such a book, because I can't imagine what she went through to put this into existence. And I didn't even know how much I needed it. And I've heard that from so many people. And oddly enough, a girl that I grew up with, we didn't grow up together, but we went to high school together, and we have the exact same birthday. Me and her both bonded over having that book. Like, I posted about it, and she was like, oh my God, me too. And I was like, I had no idea we had that, you know, that bond. And I think it also just goes back to, if you had that mom, or a mom that was in that category of like how she raised your kids, you don't necessarily know how to talk to people about traumatic things. It's like, I don't even know how to talk to somebody about like a grocery list. But yeah, so that's why I think that I love what y'all are doing with this, because I just think it's good that the more I hear the way other people think, the less alone I felt. This is why I think podcasts are just a great thing at all.
Yes.
In general, like even comedy podcasts, I'm just like, oh, good. Thank God. Like headliners of arenas also like have
nerves and
yeah.
We're all humans when we get down to it.
Yeah. So and nobody's like actually, like, magic exists, but it's not like anybody has that, like, oh, I'm 100% magic all the time. You know?
I'm still learning that perfect isn't a thing.
Yeah.
No.
It's really not.
It's not even
Do you guys believe that?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's great. Yeah. Thank God. Because it's, whew.
Yeah. I want to ask, when you met your husband and you moved in, pretty soon after. We just gotta gloss over that. What,
is that weird? People don't do that?
I think they do. Doesn't always work out so well, I feel like. What made you open up to him so much, or feel like he was such a, like, because I feel like you didn't have that at that time. And then what was that feeling? What made him feel safe?
I think it is just kind of like the way he listens to me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, oh, he's the first person that's ever listened to me. It was just like, oh, I don't actually have to say everything and he gets it. It was kind of like this symbiotic relationship very quickly. And it helps that he was best friends with my favorite cousin, growing up. So it wasn't like I didn't know him. Like I met him over the years. And like we have these funny memories of like when we were in our 20s. And like I go visit their house and he was like, oh, I thought you had cute legs back then. And I'm like,
cute legs.
Yeah. I know.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it exactly. And this is why I don't ever give anybody dating advice, because I don't recommend people move in together after the first date. I feel like maybe don't do that. And I don't regret that, but it's just that's just how it happened.
I love that for you.
It was beautiful.
How'd that convo go? Like, it was just like, we like each other a lot. Let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and what was funny about it wasn't like I moved across town. I moved from Brooklyn to Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big, I know.
That must have been a really good first date. Tell us about the date.
Well, we ate chicken at my aunt's house.
Oh,
I know. And then we snuggled and hung out.
Oh,
it wasn't like, again, I've never been like the kind of person that, I'm not good at like planning like a big night out, and I'm also super introverted. Like I don't like leaving the house in the first place. And something about just like, he just kind of had the same kind of life. Like, I don't know. It was like two hermits met, for the first time.
Yeah.
You're like, let's be hermits together.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt, honestly, because like our relationship isn't really built on like, oh, well, I got you this big thing or we're going on this big trip or anything. Like, sure, we go on vacations and stuff, but it's not like, it's more of this unspoken existence. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's that magic you were talking about where you're like, there is some magic in the world,
Yeah, that's how it feels because it's just like, I don't know how to put into words really.
Yeah, I get you.
But it's funny because like nobody's ever met my husband because he's such an introvert. Like if I'm going out to a show, I feel like I'm going to work in a way.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, I don't want to have to worry about if somebody's okay right now, and like he's fine by himself, but I just don't want to have to think like, oh, well, if I want to go to this afterwards or if I want to go here afterwards, I want to have autonomy.
Yes.
So it's just funny because like everyone's like, do you have a husband?
I sure do.
He's downstairs. Yeah.
Can I ask what do you, I'm trying to think of how to ask this. What do you like, are you good at? Do you think you're good at?
God. Pilates.
Ooh.
I'm actually pretty good at keeping myself in good health. I think I'll give myself credit for that. I'm good at reading.
I like all of these.
I hate this question.
Why?
I never think about being good at something. I just think about the act of doing it. Like my favorite yoga teacher would always say, you're not a human being. You're not a human doing. You're a human being. I love that. So I always think of just like, I don't want to be necessarily good at something. I just like doing it.
Yeah.
Because like kind of throw out the perfectionism. It's like trying to get away from perfectionism. So I'm trying to like live my life without all these obsessive compulsive like parameters that I had before. And that's like one of them is like, am I good or bad? It's like pass fail.
Yes. Dude, I am relating so hard to you. I feel like I'm a kid at your feet right now. Like,
oh my God.
Tell me more.
Thank God.
Do you have OCD?
Yes.
Me too.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Girl,
oh my God. OCD. Oh my God. I'm going to cry.
You got the OCD.
I did. Whoa. And I'm just learning like OCD, like what it is. Like I used to, everything had to be in threes as a kid. But I stopped doing that and I was like, oh, that was my OCD. But now I'm learning so much more to OCD and I'm like, shit, that's OCD.
Yeah.
People don't have fleeting thoughts about like, what if that truck ran me over and then they had to have a funeral for me and then everybody had to raise money? No one just thinks that.
That's like all my thoughts. Like I leave my house, every time I leave my house, I say goodbye to my husband as if I'm dying. Like, as if he's dying or I'm dying. And I don't even think that that's weird.
I can feel Melanie over there being like,
she's going to be like,
she's seeing a therapist that does EMDR. You see when it does a brain spotting, I'm like, you're in good hands.
it is nice to like, it's scary to like hear like, oh, these are symptoms of OCD, but it is like, okay, now I know it's something, so we can address it. Yeah.
Well, both my parents have OCD and they have very different OCDs. So like, you know, my dad's like more of a hoarder. Like he had this office growing up and there were just Altoid cans, like thousands of Altoid cans everywhere. What is that?
Yeah.
What's that for?
A breath of fresh air. I know.
That was a good one.
Part of me was like, don't say that, you nerd. I was like, I'm going to say it.
But I mean, you know, he had like eating problems. Like he a lot of his eating problems ended up kind of spilling over into me, and like I had anorexia for a long time, and I think that's kind of an obsessive compulsive thing because it's like controlling. It's like you're trying to control everything. But yeah, like my dad has never eaten dinner with my family my entire life. Now he was home sometimes for dinner, but he would set his plate on the table and then he would just go away, and none of us know where he goes.
Wow.
No idea.
You don't know now?
I don't know. I'm not even comfortable asking him.
Yeah. I feel that.
At this point, I'm like, it's been 3 decades. So, you know, it's just, this is the other thing is that like neither one of them realize they have OCD. So like, then I'm finally understanding they have OCD. So I'm like, oh, I have OCD. And I'm like, my brothers have OCD. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to fix them because I'm trying to not be codependent anymore. But the good thing about my obsessive compulsive disorder is that I do know that I have like a pretty good handle on it because I can recognize when it's happening and I can stop it.
Amazing.
Which I think maybe means I don't have it actually. If you can stop it, is that how it works?
Or you can have like obsessive thoughts without the compulsions to stop them.
I got the obsessive thoughts.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily like have the behavior anymore. Like I can have a messy house.
Yeah.
And I do have a messy house.
I love it. And you don't get like wrapped up in the thoughts?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll have those moments where I'm like, I've been hijacked by this thought. Like this is, you know, this has like been a whole, I sometimes I think about it as like, I've wasted an entire day thinking about this thing.
Yes.
And that's not important to me, you know?
Yes.
And then you feel like, oh, I've just wasted a day of my life.
Can you recognize when you're in one of those spirals?
Yeah. And sometimes I think sometimes I feel comfortable being in the spiral. So it's sort of hard to get out of it, you know? Because you're like, well, this is
this
is where I grew up.
Yeah. Yes.
But now I think I've gotten better at like sticking a stick in the spoke. So that doesn't make any sense. But you know what I'm talking about.
I literally will say that sometimes when I'm like working with the client. I'm like, what's the stick?
Yeah.
Like we want to stop this from spinning.
Yeah. Because like, sure, you could do that with a positive thought, but like you'd lose your mind.
So I don't know. I feel compelled to share a thing with y'all. It's helpful beyond OCD thoughts, but it just to how to. I've talked about how we have these different parts of self and stuff, and so this is it's a meditation that I read and do with clients sometimes around like how to observe your thoughts and see things as separate from you, because it's not that you want to not have your thoughts or your feelings, but you want to separate from them a little bit so you have some choice or autonomy around what to do in response to them. And so the meditation, because I love nature, as you can tell, it's talking about, it's like some guided imagery of becoming a trunk of a tree. And imagine getting really rooted down into the ground. And if you know a root system of a tree, it goes super deep. Like it's hard to uproot a tree.
Yeah.
They go just really deep. So your core self is this tree, this trunk of the tree, and getting really grounded and rooted. So you can't get pulled anywhere. So you got a really strong foundation. And then you start to notice your thoughts as each branch, like each thought can become a branch in the tree, a thought, an emotion, anything like that. And so you stay the trunk and you get to kind of look and see your tree branches out here. And some reach up really great and high and welcoming to the sun and the rain. Some may be heavy and bent down towards the ground, but we're not that, so our heavy thoughts might be, we can observe it as a branch, and visualizing, I'm really big on that. But so you might imagine that branch, but you just get to look at it and observe it. Wow. See what's on it and making it heavy. Play with what it would be like to take some of that off and to see it growing, but you've got all of these thoughts and you get to observe them. And I have health anxiety. And so this past trip I went on, I had a lot of that going on. And there were some where I started going into, if I die, I know I have friends that'll take care of my dogs, and that's really all that matters. Like, so, my friend Leah, she'll know how to handle all my stuff. And I was like, okay, I gotta stop this. Like, I can't sit and keep going in this. And so I just kind of did a quick little visualization of like becoming that trunk, and just noticed this is just one branch that's worried about my health right now. Yeah. And then noticing what are the other branches here. And I was laying down, and I actually had a really good view of trees outside the window. And I was just trying to connect to my breath and just stare at the trees. And it's just a helpful way just to separate a little bit from the spiral, but we can just notice the spiral out here instead of spiraling with it. Yeah. Yeah. Because then you might notice some of those branches are really positive and supportive and grounded, and can, like, if you know anything about like trees in a forest and mycelial mushrooms underground, how trees communicate with each other. So if one starts to die, it will literally, other trees will send nutrients to that tree to help it. Like, so they can network and talk to each other and support each other like that. And so when you think about the branches on the tree, I like to think about like one struggling and dying, and they can help. And I've seen, with plants and stuff, when one turns yellow, I used to think pick the yellow off because it's all, I was like, the plant's using all of its energy. Right. But it actually, I was listening to a botanist talk about this stuff the other day, but the plant will use the energy from that leaf, and it'll drop when it's done, when it's not needed anymore.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right? Sometimes we get really stuck on trying to prune off those branches that aren't, doing so well. There's purpose there. Wow. Yeah. It's really beautiful meditation, and just the more you get in and think about like what all that can be, I think it's really helpful. I love it.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing.
I want to be a tree.
Done.
Well, we're done here. So.
I do want to ask, unless you have something else. We like to ask, what's something that makes you feel so good, like you're just like. Like a Teletubby. No, not a Teletubby. Like a Care Bear. Oh, wait. Is the Teletubby the sun? That's where the scary sun is from, not Care Bears.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about the sun Care Bear.
I know. I thought maybe you just didn't like
he had
that
bad
one.
energy.
I thought that someone, he's a bitch.
I don't know. I don't know what your past is with the yellow Care Bear.
I thought the same thing.
I came back. Okay. And you guys, thank you for just being like,
oh, I'm here to support you.
Something that makes you feel just so good.
Oh my God, my cats.
And
my babies. And Darcy. Oh. Darcy. Honestly, animals.
Yeah.
This is something I didn't realize until my newest therapist, is that I didn't really understand like unconditional love until I was around animals that I took care of. Because we had animals growing up that didn't necessarily like me. Like we had cats that didn't like me, and like for whatever reason, like I think I just came at them with a lot of energy, and I wasn't their caretaker, and they just were those kind of cats that just aren't cuddly.
Yeah.
You know? And then now when I see my cats, I'm like, we have this relationship where I take care of them, they take care of me. And it's very special, and it's just something I've never had before. So I'm like, I don't know. Every time they come to the door, I'm just like, I'm your biggest fan. Look at that guy. He came back.
That's so sweet. I love that. I love that. And I don't know if you care about this, but if you want to, tell people where they can find you online.
Instagram. My Instagram is It's Marianna Barksdale, because I did something on Instagram and got rid of my name Marianna Barksdale somehow. I don't know how.
That's Instagram for you.
Yeah, that's Instagram. I've got the TikTok. I'm not good at TikTok. I used to work at TikTok, so like I'm so bad about posting on there. And my YouTube is something I'm trying to grow. And that's Marianna Barksdale.
Okay.
Love YouTube. I'm so old.
Can you spell, just so everybody?
Oh yeah, it's MariannaBarksdale.
Oh, that had a rhythm to it.
I feel like I'm in a spelling bee with my own name.
You got it.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime you're around, I would be honored to be considered your friend. I really would. Truly.
I know.
I can't believe I made it the whole time without crying.
You have such a sweet energy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. You do too.
Thank you.
You both have very motherly energies too.
Oh, that's nice.
But in like I don't know how to explain it, like a Mother Earth sort of situation.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Aww.
I love you so much. She's catting me right now. Thank you for listening to I'm Fine, It's Fine podcast. My name is Amber Autry. I'm a comedian based here in Nashville and internationally touring. You can find me on all platforms at Amber Autry Comedy.
And I am Melanie Reese. I'm a trauma therapist here in Nashville. You can find me across all platforms at Trauma Therapy Nashville.
We really appreciate you listening so much. And if you want to give a little extra for free, make sure you're liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing, sharing with your friends, talking about it to literally everyone you see, because it helps so much. And we're so grateful for the extra effort.
And if you like what you're hearing and you want some bonus material, that includes interviews with other practitioners and all the juicy stuff that Amber and I talk about that doesn't go into the normal podcast. We'd love to have you subscribe. You can find the link in our bio, and $5 a month, you can do it.
Thank you.
Thanks.